until I found out today, but, there's a lot of towers I know that have beacon replacements and the LED takeover. So, this LED takeover, I really hate it. But, the LEDs are kind of cool if you think about it in, like, different perspectives and stuff. But, there's a lot of rare beacons and cool beacon setups that are being ruined because of this. So, yeah, I just wanted to have some time to make this video, about the Springview Towers near Springfield, Ohio. So anyways, this tower here, I filmed it like a couple of times. It now has a TWR strobe or an LED. Now, some of you have been wondering in my comment sections of what LED this could have been. Well, I just found out what kind of type it is. I think it's called the LED Beacon 2, because TWR, they kind of have crappy names for their beacons. They don't have like specific model names. For example, the FH307, but for TWR, this beacon looks like it could be the LED Beacon 2, which that's the model name for it. But it seems a little flat, though, to be the LED Beacon 2. But I do know it's like some sort of TWR beacon or LED, and it's night mode only, and it doesn't have any markers. So, believe it or not, but before I started YouTube, this tower had an older beacon to it that was night mode only. It was a single strobe. And for a while, I was thinking it could have been the FH307. But, until I looked at it again on Street View, and if you guys just wonder before I continue, that camera was put up there when the tower was modified in 2020. But anyways, as I was saying, the beacon it used to have, for a long time, I thought it was an FH307. But it actually wasn't an FH307. So I'll tell you guys what beacon it is, but before that, I'm gonna explain some of its history too, because it's a special beacon, and I don't want to ruin the surprise until the end of the video. So yeah, the tower, it was built around 2009-ish, I think. 2007 to 2009, somewhere in between there. But it doesn't have any markers, but in 2020, the tower was modified to 5G. Well, before it got modified in new antennas, it actually got the new TWR beacon. But, it was before I started YouTube, so I could have been close to filming it when its old beacon was up there. So yeah, it was a rare beacon that it's not around much longer because this LED takeover. And rare beacons are getting harder and harder to find because this, like, crappy LED takeover and all that, And cool beacon setups and rare beacons are hard to find. And there's a monopole that used to have an FH309 that got an LED now somewhere, but it still has its halogen markers. But, I tried talking to people on Discord about the NEMs and all that stuff, but it turns out it was actually a 309. At first, I thought it was a 307, but anyways, back to this tower. So, this tower is, like, around, but, well, it's known as the second Springview Tower. And if you was wondering, that tower back there's the third Springview Tower. It was built in 2009. Also, it's also last time I seen it last week when I was going to Springfield last week, its FH324 was in backup night mode. Now, we was going into Springfield, and its beacon was in night mode, and it also had working markers too. But when we left Springfield, its FH324 was in backup night mode. So most likely it burned out when we was in Springfield. But believe it or not, this tower is, like, iconic because, alright, so, I now give you the beacon, the original beacon this tower had. An FG2009B. That's right. It had a really rare beacon. It was very hard to find, but I can't believe it actually did have one for in my area, I mean, I really wish the FG2009B was more popular, but sometimes I mistake them for FH307s because it's kind of hard to see the detail on them. But I got close-ups and I just kept zooming in on screenshots on them and compared them to actual 307s. But it turns out this beacon that used to have was a lot more smaller than a 307. So I was like, okay, it couldn't have been the 307. And then a idea just popped up in my head that it was an FG2009B. And to be honest, it does look just like one. So there's an older Street View in the other lane if I can get one. Hopefully. Yes, it still has an older Street View. Okay. Also, there's the first Springview Tower. It was built in 1997. Alright, so there's the tower when it had the 2009B and the third Springview Tower. So let's get a close-up of this beacon it had. The 2009B. Yeah, so it surprisingly had a 2009B when it's actually a rare beacon in my area. So yeah, it didn't have any markers, but this is what it looked like before it was upgraded to 5G. It doesn't have any markers, but I don't know, I'm sometimes confused with like how they're set up and all that with markers, but yeah, so surprisingly it was a rare beacon.